We're
Perfect.
live.
Dude, I'm so excited about tonight. I'm starting the show off with excited. I hope everybody is. We have crazy amounts of information. I just want to say welcome to episode 52 of the Drag Driver Pete Show presented by Summit Racing. Tonight we have Ryan from PerformaBuilt Transmissions on to discuss the voodoo magic of automatic transmissions. MotorTrend streaming has lost its mind, and then tons of event updates, even a brand new event that's in the Northeast. I'm not going to tell you how many events that gives us for 2024 so far, but it is the most in history. So, to get the show started, guys, my name is Mike Narks. I am the host of this Drag Drive Repeat show that you're watching tonight, and the host of the Drag Drive Repeat News, which happens on Saturday mornings live. And all of this stuff happens on PowerTube TV as well. You can find us over there on watchpowertubetv.com/watch and just scroll down, search for your boys. Eric, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are and what you got going on, dude.
I am Eric White. I am the co host for both the show and the news. I do a lot of graphic design. I'm getting back into some of the video editing, as we'll see shortly. We've got a new intro video for both shows, so that's going to be exciting. Help run whatever needs to be done here with Drag Drive Repeat. When I'm not doing that, I am working on my channel, which is 815 LSX Swaps.
I know that's right. Well, dude, you've also created a brand new intro video for us that I've never seen. So let's knock this thing out, and then let's recap it at the end of this.
All right, here we go.
We're gonna pack things up and hit the road, try to make it the next day.
Dude, you've outdone yourself. You have outdone yourself. I love it. I love it. Thank you very much. That's really, really cool, man. It's a lot of great stuff. Most of that stuff comes right from Sick Week 2024. So it's brand new content, man. That was really cool. All right, guys, hit the share button as we come in here. And you saw the last little bit of screen there. Guys, we can't do it without you. Thank you for being our race car friends. Thank you to our sponsors, Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, PerformaBuilt Transmissions, who's backstage right now watching Howard's cams. Appreciate Luke B and the team over there. Car Change 3D, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. Y'all, this is going to be a good show. Again, hit the share button as you come in. Eric, that was a great intro video, dude. If everybody enjoyed that, please let us know in the comments. He worked very hard on that. I mean, how long did that take you to put together? Probably an hour, I would think.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Actually, the hardest part is I just switched to the Adobe All app, so I'm learning Premiere Pro right now. So it was more learning the software more than anything, but it's actually not bad once you kind of figure out where everything's at.
That's awesome. Well, let's get this show started, guys. I don't know if you know this or not, but Speed Race Summit Racing started their speed legacy back in 1968. One man operation to now the World Speed Shop. Four locations, four huge locations. That's what this is right here. A warehouse, 200 plus catalog editions, fueling your passion. They save you money, deliver fast, and offer top notch customer service. In 2014, they launched the mobile app, the Summit Racing mobile app at that. For easy access to speed parts, find them on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Also, you can tune in to the On All Cylinders podcast for more automotive discussions. They just had Brian Nutter on talking about LS Tech, which is right up Eric's alley and my alley. I enjoy a lot of LS swap stuff. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. Love it. Thank you, Summit, for coming on. And let's talk about Molly Motorsports because sadly, they're not bringing a race car to the circuit, but gladly, they let us put a racer in their spot from the wait list. So we drew that on Saturday morning on the Drag Driver Pete News. And Jim McQuarrie won it, and will be running his all motor Ford small block, I will say as well. Fox Body Mustang in the all motor small block class. So pretty exciting there. And I think this is one of his first times to do a drag and drive event. So it's going to be really cool to have them out. And that's two giveaways that we've done, one for the Summit Racing team and one for Molly Motorsports. Now, Molly Motorsports is talking about sending out someone with all of the, not car show stuff, but like the tent and the pistons that they bring and things like that. So hopefully they can do that. I'm really pumped to see what can come from that. And I hope they are there because I know them being there will only help people figure
Yeah.
out which pistons they want to run.
Yeah. And that's not going to be our last free spot we're going to be giving away either.
Shh, don't say anything about that yet. We're gonna reveal that next Wednesday night when somebody else is on the show with us as well. So kind of exciting. All right, let's talk about this. So congratulations to him. Let's jump into event stuff because there's a lot of event news for this week. So of course the events are brought to you by Driven Racing Oil, the official oil of Drag Drive Repeat, and really probably truly a lot of drag and drive competitors. We know Jerry and Matt Sweet run it, Bryant Goldstone runs it, Jacob Davis runs it. There's Raj from the Yukon, he runs it. Like all these high level, the Tab Scots run it. All these high level teams run Driven Racing Oil, and there's a reason for that because they're driven to win. All right, event updates, dude. Miles of
Sold
Mayhem
out.
sold out. This is so
Yes.
exciting for them because that means there's one more national level event within the last week that has sold out completely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh man, I'm so excited about this. It's gonna be on our list for 2025. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be able to make it in 24, but 2025, I'm coming. I'm coming to Canada. I'm gonna start working on my passport tomorrow. I promise.
2025 drag driver Pete's going worldwide.
That's exactly. Maybe we do that in Sweden. That may
Oh,
be what we need to do. We need to do that in Sweden and maybe a little bit of Australia. Maybe we hit one
yeah.
of the ones in Australia too. We just those are the ones we go on is just ones that are out of the country. All right.
Right.
666, one of my most anticipated events that are coming up for this year. It's in our backyard. It's hitting Ozark Raceway Park. It's hitting Mocan Dragway. It's a one-way trip, all that kind of fun stuff. It opens registration on Saturday, March 2nd, which happens to be this Saturday. So
Yep.
it opens registration 9 a.m. Eastern this coming weekend. The sick ward is now open for 666, and entries are 150 bucks per person. I like that. Limited time, and that includes the driver spectator administration for all 7 days, a window banner, and a T-shirt. So you get to cruise Route 66 with all the cars. So Sick Ward is kind of like Road Week is for Rocky Mountain, or the Drag Pack is for Drag Week. So pretty neat deal there. And that registration, it says, is open now. Sorry.
Yep.
That should give you an opportunity to hit some cool stuff. If you're not wanting to race, or you don't get in for registration for racing, you can actually sign right up to this and do the entire trip in your race car is what I would suggest. Work out all the bugs and then be ready for the one next year. And then what's something extra that they're doing for this as well? You got notes here.
Let me scroll back up.
The
Yep. So if you got a classic, performance, vintage, or otherwise curious vehicle, you can apply to be in the Sick Spit Show and Shine. So this is a free add-on to the Sick Ward that will let you park into the pits each day. So I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and they were talking about some, like, I don't know, like upfront parking for these, and like preferred parking, I guess is probably the way you would say it, to these select cars that they pick for each day. So again, a way that you can get special treatment. I like that. We've been thinking about doing that for the circuit, but I feel like it's probably a little late to run it up now, being that we're 6 weeks out. So we are going to roll in something like this for 2025. The biggest thing I think this benefits other participants of this is that it is a no hassle entry into the track.
Yeah.
So instead of like, if you're following your family along and maybe you're not in a cool car, but you're following the family along because you want AC and all that kind of stuff, this is a way, because this will give you a wristband. This gives you just drive right through the gate. It's easy. You get preferred parking, all that kind of stuff. So we're looking at that for 2025 for the circuit as well.
Yeah. If there's any events that I would suggest, like a sick ward or other type of entry, it'd be the 666 because that's going to be such a cool trip. I mean, all the other ones obviously are fun, but I think this one's going to be so unique that I think that everybody that wants to be there should sign up for the sick ward if you can't get into the event.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to be a trip a lot like Death Week was, but this is a lot more manageable, I think, for some folks. Obviously, it's a long event. It's one of the longest events that we have for 2024, but you this really truly is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity for a lot of that stuff. Now, there's something that's being planned for a few years from now that I think will be really cool, but again, this is right now. This is 2024.
Right.
Get on board and get ready. And again, if you just want to go for a couple days, this is still a great opportunity to park up front and have all the cool spots and route stops and get the directions and all of that. So highly recommend that.
Yeah,
Let's
I think the hardest part's going to be not stopping at every cool thing along the way to be able to make it to the stops in the track.
was that the news we were talking about? My trip from Route 1 or the first stop to the second stop was like 25 miles. It took me 90 minutes.
Yeah,
That was by myself. That wasn't
right.
even seeing any race car friends parked on the side of the road, looking at stuff, getting cool pictures. I'm telling you, this section of Route 66 is really, really cool, especially from Springfield to Mocan is awesome. There's a lot, like Springfield started. That's where everything kind of, it's a birthplace of Route 66. So it
Yeah,
has a lot of history around there, a lot of really neat things to look at and see, and a lot of photo opportunities. That's the key phrase there. And it probably will only get better as we go west, I would imagine. So I'm
yeah,
hoping a lot of the stops that we make and a lot of the pictures we get are also going to be done later in the season, like when Rocky Mountain Race Week comes to Mocan in June, and then again when 666 comes in October. So,
yeah,
come to the circuit, get a lot of that early stuff, make sure your car's ready, and then bounce for there. All right, let's talk about regional stuff because obviously regional events are kind of what keeps the volume going here. It's also a great opportunity for new promoters to step into the game it without having to create an entire week long event, which is sometimes very daunting. And then it really lets a lot of folks that haven't participated in an event participate in one and kind of get the feel for it. So first up is the Central Georgia Battle of the Streets. This is put on by Mike Mayo at Warner Robins, Georgia. This is coming up on March 16th and 17th. It looks like it's going to be a great event. It's like 70-mile drive, so more than a true street drive, but not quite where you're going to have to take several days off of work. It is kind of a one-day deal. It is heads up, which we're seeing a lot of that go to on the weekend stuff. Is they're mixing in a lot of drive with the heads up racing. So that's really cool because it's going to give a lot of folks that opportunity to drive their car that typically don't drive it. So that's something really, really good.
yeah,
So that's coming up. I think it's $100 to enter this or something like that. So you tech on Friday night, March 16th. Saturday is racing. Pretty easy deal. Should be a great way for him to step his feet in it. Now, Mike has hosted and promoted a lot of events, a lot of cruise nights, a lot of drag races, things like that. So this may be his first drag and drive to do, but it's not his first event. Looks like he has the process down for all that other stuff. So it's good that we have that level of promoter coming into the game as well. And then the other side of the screen, there's the Hard S1000. That is one of the first of seven. That is the first of seven in the Australia continent. I don't know, it's a country that is happening in 2024. This is March 18th through 23rd. It's Heathcote Raceway in Australia is the host track for it. And I can't remember. I think they're going to Wilby as their second track, but they have Heathcote and then a drive day and then Wilby and a drive day back to Heathcote. So,
yep,
I mean, I would think the 1,000 means they're driving 1,000 kilometers, which is like 600 miles. So this could be one of the longest regional style events because it's only 3 days of racing that's out there. So
Yeah.
pretty crazy. March 18th, which is my birthday, through 23rd in Australia. So if you're anywhere in the southeastern part of Australia, hit this thing up, man. Go to it.
And
All
send
right.
us pictures.
Please, please send us pictures and stories and tell us what's going on. So
Yeah.
the next event is the newest event that we've heard about. I know there are some others that are being planned, but this one, I hope the people in the Northeast are listening to me. This is in New York State.
Yep.
Guys, if this event doesn't sell out, there's no hope for regional events ever anywhere. Because,
Everyone's been asking for this.
dude, every single time one comes up, boy, I wish there was one in the Northeast. Why can't the Northeast get some? So listen, talk with your pocketbooks right here. If you want more events, you need to attend this one for sure. Now, we are planning to talk to these promoters. There's 3 of them. I've already been messaging back and forth with them. We kind of talked about this a little bit in a post the other day, but they were not expecting the level of interest that they have had. And I want to say thanks to Rovic for posting this and letting us know about it. I mean, we would have eventually seen it, but with him, we saw it immediately. And
Right.
the promoters are saying that, man, we were not expecting to be overwhelmed with people wanting to sign up. So all of the stuff is coming. They don't even have their classes laid out and the rules and stuff. So that's coming soon. The all the details will be coming up, and as soon as they get those lined out, guys, I hope we're the first ones that can tell you. That's kind of what we're pushing for. We're hoping that this is another great opportunity for people that have been pleading for a drag and drive event in the Northeast. This is your chance.
Yep.
This is your chance right here. And then the complete other side of the country, the other side of the country, the Olympic drag and drive. We haven't given these guys the credit they deserve. We haven't talked about them as much. Registration kicks off March 15th. And I don't know if you recognize that car there in the back. Do you recognize
I,
that car?
I think so.
Yeah, that's number 3 of the Drag and Drive World Champion point series, Corey Thompson.
Yep.
And so, of course, I had to message him and go, "Hey, man, what do you know? What do you?" He said, "Oh, all I know is I'm going." He's like, "This is in my backyard. I'm going to this event. No questions asked." So he's going there. Can't wait to see the stories from this one. Again, another regional event, few days. This is the same time as Drop the Hammer. So another weekend, 2 drag and drive events across the country here. It's going to be really, really cool to see how all of this works out. And I'm working on a map that I think will help everybody. And the biggest thing with interactive stuff is timing, because you don't want to just see all of it. You want to see when it happens as well. So
Right.
working through a lot of different options for people to kind of see where all of these events are. All right.
Yep. A lot of events.
That's for sure. That's for sure. That's an understatement. And then last up on the spot auto repair, I want to give a big shout out to our buddy out there, Nick. Appreciate him. Dude, we're bringing the live stream to the circuit, which will be one of the only regional events that has a live stream. It's going to be awesome. But him doing that is a huge relief off of our back, because it means we can only use that to grow. And he
Yep.
fixed my Trailblazer this week, which is going to be my new drag and drive rig to make it to all the events. So I just wanted to highlight them. I wanted to say thank you to them for jumping on board. They're a small shop in Gentry, Arkansas, which is a small town here in Northwest Arkansas. For him to do this, I mean, that's a lot of his budget. So I want people to understand that this is a big deal for us and him. So if you have an opportunity to send him some work, we would definitely appreciate that. But on the spot auto repair, man, he's been awesome and has a bunch of cool cars. So we're gonna be featuring some of those over the next couple of weeks. As we lead up to the circuit here in 6 weeks, 50 something days,
It's
40
coming up
something days,
fast.
40 something days, I guess. Oh my gosh.
I don't even think I'm prepared yet.
It elevated my blood pressure a little bit right there, to be honest with you. So that's pretty exciting. Well, guys, you know how many events that gives us for the year?
How many?
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
35 events. 35
Whew.
drag and drive events for the 2024 season.
And we know there's still going to be more coming.
There's yeah, for sure there's going to be more coming. There's one that they're working on in at Mid America Dragway. They're working on the mileage and how all that works, and how a lot of these promoters that are creating these events come from a heads up world, so they're trying to make it a heads up deal, and also get some street driving in there, which is cool. But we're going to see some serious growth. And again, like we talked with Tommy Dupree of Summit at PRI for the podcast, dude, I said 53. I think you said 48, and Tommy said 42. So one of us is going to be right. I mean, to get to 53, it's really going to have to kick into high gear. Adding another 18 across the world could be pretty intense. But there's a lot of the world that doesn't have a drag and drive event and needs to.
Yeah, well, just look how many are new events just this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's already a bunch of new ones. Big Sky
Yep.
Race Week, the New York one.
Yep.
I know there's a couple more that are.
A lot more. Well, and what's funny is I shared a post from 2 years ago. It was a memory on Facebook, and was like, "Hey, these are the events we're watching for this year," and there were 8 on there, dude.
I
8
saw
in
that.
2022. Like, those were the events we were watching in 2022. I mean,
Yeah,
to go from I think 11 we ended up with in 2022 to how many we ended up last year? 31 or 33, something like that.
yeah,
And then now we're already at 35, and it's just the end of February. So there will be some
yeah,
that we don't even know about until they're happening, which happened last year.
yeah, yeah. I saw that post when it got shared, and I was like, "What? What is this? There's way more events than that." And then I saw the date was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty intense, man. I can't believe that. I should have, because it really. I mean, there were several people that shared that post, so I should have put something in there, and I put it in my post. But you know how Facebook does it, doesn't share my post; it shares the post I shared
Yeah, the
for
original
for everyone
post.
else. Yep. So that's the way it works. Well, guys, the Driven Racing Oil team will be at a show the week of the circuit, and they've asked us to do some stuff that we did for Molly earlier. So we're gonna have that. We're gonna talk about that next week. They're our guests for next week. I hope they bring on like 3 or 4 different people, and everybody talks over each other, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I really am looking forward to this. It may be one of the only shows we do like an after hours and crack some beers and talk then, but it's going to be fun. One thing I do want to ask is, if you have oil related questions, I'm going to make a post tomorrow. Ask them on that post, because that's what we're going to ask for them next week, which is what we were going to do for Ryan and the team at PerformaBuilt, but I completely spaced it last week. And the good thing about Ryan is he knows his knowledge base is so big up here that we're going to be able to talk about all kinds of stuff. We have an hour slated with him tonight, so I'm really pumped about having him on for a little bit. And the same thing about the Driven Racing Oil team for next week. All right, let me stop jabbering on about event coverage, and you lead us into this next segment.
Yep. So next we're going to jump into Howard's Cam community segment. So Howard's Cam is the official valve train of Drag Drive Repeat. So first thing we got up here is I came across this just a couple nights ago. Can't remember which night it was, but I thought this was wild. So this is on eBay. This
Hmm.
is a vintage Bryant Goldstone signed T-shirt on
Yeah,
eBay. You can go bid on it. I think it's at $40 right now. It's not a shirt you're gonna wear. It's got some tears and it's beat up, but if you want an autographed shirt from the first ever Drag and Drive World Champion, this is your chance to go get it.
yeah. Well, that's your chance to get the vintage one.
The
Should we?
vintage one.
Yeah. Should we show them the other one?
Yeah, I think so. You
Yeah.
got it?
Yeah. You mean
This one?
like this one right here? Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, baby. That's right. All
Yeah.
new shirt. Pretty cool,
So
man.
So this is the new shirt that Bryant Goldstone has. It's
Hmm.
2023 Drag and Drive World Champion right there. So if
Yep.
you don't want to bid on this vintage one, you can get these new shirts, the Goldstone Racing shirt featuring the Drag and Drive World Champion AMX Javelin. It's a limited edition shirt available by messaging Bryant Goldstone directly. So if you're interested in that shirt, it's a great looking shirt. go
Yeah.
ahead and drop a message straight to Bryant, and he will get you hooked up with a new shirt.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. When he gave those to us. I want to say thank you to Bryant for that because that's a shirt I wear all the time. My daughter wore her shirt to school the other day, and kids were asking about it. So that's really cool. That
Yeah.
she's spreading the love around. Everybody's getting out there. So you can order yours. Just message Bryant, figure out how to do that, and he can. I'm sure he'll get out, and he'll probably even sign it for you. I don't know. Maybe,
Ooh, yeah.
maybe. Then you can have
Just
two.
yeah, just gotta ask in the message.
Yeah, right. Please, if you ask him for a signature, please let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, and let's talk about the next deal here. I don't know if you've been watching these or not, but I love them. I love
Yeah.
Rich Guido on camera. The dude
Yeah.
has, I don't know if that he has like this older brother, cool car figure in my head. I don't know what it is, but I'm captivated by him. But his video from the other day, this one here, how to keep your car cool, was great. It was really good. I really, it was almost like done in one shot. I don't know. His use, like the way he used the camera to talk to the camera and then show you what he's talking about is really good. Lots of great info in it, like that he shuts his fans off at 55 plus miles an hour.
Mhm.
I don't do that in my old truck. It's probably something I need to look at. The radiator and it's huge, got plenty of airflow, so I don't need to. They don't need to be on. He also shuts them off at anything above 50% throttle, which I thought was really cool because he said it eliminated some alternator work, so it wasn't working as hard. So I thought that was a pretty neat deal there as well. A lot of thought process goes into driving something that's 1,500 plus horsepower, pulling a trailer 20,000 miles a year. I mean, obviously, there's a lot that goes into that. And then also, did I put it in here? Dadgummit, no, I didn't. But in that same video, he uses the an idea from Rick Steinke, honk if parts fall off. It's an air to water intercooler holder. It's like the ice bucket essentially is an old Rubbermaid cooler.
Yep.
I thought that was a really good idea. I thought it made a lot of sense. Plus, like he says, you can keep your road sodas cold in there. So it makes sense that way too. But he
Nice.
uses big Rubbermaid cooler, twist top, everything made a lot of sense to me. And then a bilge pump. So, very easy. He's got an air to water. And the reason he uses the air to water intercooler instead of like an air to air is because it frees up frontal space for the radiator. Again, worrying about things that you are drag and drive related. It's better if you didn't have an air to air because the airflow coming across that radiator. So a
Right.
lot of really cool thoughts are into that, and I think that's probably the way his channel is going to be. And as of last night, he was at 955 subscribers. So guys, if you haven't done it yet, please go subscribe to our buddy Rich Guido on YouTube. Hit that up. We got to get him to 1,000 here pretty quick so he can start getting monetized because you know what he's going to do with his money. Same thing we do with our money. He's gonna spend it on drag and drive stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
And he's not just cool on camera. I don't know if you've met this guy once or twice before, but
yeah, yeah.
pretty
Lot
cool
of
in person
selfies
too.
with him. Oh man, I love that guy. Love that guy to death. He's like I said. I don't know if he's like he's probably more like a cool uncle. Like a cool older brother. I would talk to and beat up, but Rich, I'm like, oh man, I gotta be cool around Rich. Gotta be cool. So, well,
Yeah,
next
that's
up,
right.
staying kind of on that same topic, our boys at Fast Act Racing, uh, Brian Acton and Jay Blanchard, they're working on cooling as well and ducting, which is a big thing you have to worry about. But one of the things that I think this makes sense for is because they've had this car together for a while, they have some bugs sorted out. Now it's time to start working on that other thing. So, or working on those other things like the coolant duct or the cool ducting. So obviously they're using, CAD design here, cardboard aided design to do this, but then they're going to work it over into sheet metal, which I don't know if they'll have this done by the circuit or not. I think that was kind of their plan, but you can see it's kind of intricate there. I don't know what they'll have, if they have metal brakes and all that kind of stuff at Jay's shop. But I know this is a great way to help relieve. Again, Jay was saying it's to kind of cut down on some of the fan usage. Can
Hmm.
can they do that and keep it in a operable temperature and save on the fan, save on the electrical system? again, a lot of these cars to go this fast, you're using race car parts, but these are street cars.
Right.
We had that conversation a couple weeks ago about what makes a street car, what doesn't make a street car, how how all that lives. But this is one thing that definitely makes your car a street car is that you can drive it anywhere. So I'm
Yep.
so excited to see them. And again, they're coming back to the circuit because they were the quickest quarter mile car on the property, or well, for the event. Anyways, they were the quickest average for quarter mile, and they're coming back because they get a free entry and they want to come down and see us and hang out and win again. It's kind of their
Yep.
plan.
And we talk about it all the time. The longer you have a car and you work those bugs out, you can get to smaller projects like this that are going to improve things because you're not always worrying about fixing what broke the last time. So obviously they've had this car together for a while. It works great, and now they can attack some of these smaller items. It's going to be beneficial to their program.
That's exactly right.
All right. So the next one we got here, I thought this was pretty cool. I had come across this, and our buddies Devin Vanderhoof and Josh Davis attended Lights Out 15. They were in the Braggin' Rights Streetcar Braggin' Rights class. So that class was 12,000 in payouts, 16 cars qualified. They teched for street legal requirements, and it had a 30-minute cruise right before round one of eliminations.
That's
So
awesome.
so Josh Davis and Devin went on to win the event. They ran 660 at 207 in the final round and got the win over Eric Funk's Dodge Dart. Took home $7,500.
That will work all day for them. And did you see that car in a 422 eighth mile?
I did not see that.
Yes, Devin posted that up like day one in testing or qualifying. I was like, oh, wow, that's
Yeah,
fast. I think the fastest eighth mile we saw from Goldstone at Street and it was like a 430 something. So
yeah.
pretty intense.
Yep. So I want to say congrats to Devin and Josh for that win. Obviously, it wasn't uh, a true drag and drive. It was more of kind of a true street event, but still,
Yeah.
nonetheless, our drag and drive race car friends, we want to give them a shout out.
Yeah, definitely. And Lights Out 15 is a big deal. Those guys really
Yes.
went up with some serious competition and just laid the smackdown. So, congratulations to them for sure. Well, the next part up here is something I don't think I have any pictures for. Nope, I don't. Somebody asked the other day. It was Hamby Debbie. So I don't know if that's maybe backwards or whatever. On Facebook, asked how much does it cost to do Sick Week. If anybody's wife is watching this, I want to apologize completely right here ahead of this, but it looked like the typical answers. Obviously, there's a lot that depends on stuff, hotels, the car you're in, that's always a big deal, and then food.
Yep.
If you're eating gas station meals every time, you're going to spend a ton of money. If you're making some sandwiches or not as picky an eater, you can save a little bit of money there. But the typical answer was between 2 and 5 grand. And I know that's a huge window, but kind of add it up and figure it out on your own, right? And that's where I think taking a co-pilot that is maybe not a spouse or a son or daughter or something like that, it makes it easier because then you can split those costs. You can split the hotel rooms. If you're okay with camping, camp a couple nights. Um, just you can get by pretty inexpensively as long as you don't break anything.
Right. Right. Uncrustables are the go-to snack.
Oh, dude.
They're cheap. They're easy.
Yep. The problem is there's only 4 in a pack and I can eat 4 at one time.
Oh yeah,
So,
Costco, man.
yeah. Yeah,
Get a
so
big box of them.
yeah, and then just, throw them in a container in the cooler and then
Yep.
just keep your cooler with ice all week. It makes a lot of sense, and a lot of times, you could walk around and probably bum some food from some folks. They
Oh
probably
yeah.
let you just, "Oh, hey, man, here you go. Yeah, yeah, take it, here you go." So,
Yeah. Yeah. I
everybody
mean, you
wants you
can.
to survive.
Yeah. I mean, you can take a portable grill. You can throw
Yep.
some burgers or brats in a cooler. There's all kinds of ways to get that down, like you said.
Yep. Yeah, the key thing is to take the time to stop at a Walmart instead of just grabbing food when you're at the gas station, which is what
Right.
we typically always do. Or, oh, hey, look, there's a restaurant. Let's just go in there and eat.
Yeah.
If you're worried about spending, then definitely figure out ways around it. Or, one thing I can always do is ask my spouse how I could eat less. Which is one thing you've been doing. You've been losing some weight. It'd be good for me to do some of that as well.
Yep. Yep. That's how you make your car faster is lose weight too.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So the next thing we got here, I thought this was pretty cool. I saw this over on the Sick the Mag page. They're coming out with something called the Weekly Reiki, which is a unique perspective on the drag and drive world from six extroverted Aussie videographer Matt Reiki, from the best Mexican food on the road to thoughts of the meaning of life and drag racing. Reiki's weekly column will be a must read. I'm looking forward to this coming out. This should be pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited about his stuff. He has a really good eye for photography, obviously, and also, obviously he can write very well as well. This is going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah,
To
yeah, I'm
read.
interested. So,
Probably not watch, but read.
yeah, I think it's a column it said. So,
Yep.
all
That's
right.
great.
What's ahead?
I said that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. The next thing here is more drag and drive racers attending other events, which I think is super cool. So, just recently was the NMRA, which is the National Mustang Racers Association, had the 30th annual spring bracket shootout at Gainesville Raceway, and there was some familiar drag and drive racers at the event. So we had Gabby Luan, Jonathan Whitaker, just saying runs an 815 LSX, swaps trim ring on the front of it. Rick Dorn and Brian Slow and Dan Watts. So this was a true street class where competitors in street legal rides do a 30-mile cruise, then return to the track and make a trio of back-to-back-to-back runs without making any adjustments or changes to the vehicle, and the hoods must remain shut. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yep.
So the winner of that, obviously, is one of our race car friends, William Luan, had a 858 at 161 miles an hour to win that class.
That's awesome. Yeah, his car is so cool. I think that's the one that's pictured here. Just
Yep.
amazing. And that dude knows what is up. Big long time 850 and true street class racer and just absolutely takes home lots of W's.
Yep. And that wasn't the only drag and drive racer to win. Also at the event was Jeff Smith, who recently participated in his first drag and drive at Sick Week. He won his fourth stick shift shootout victory at this event, running a 941.
That's awesome.
So again, we're getting these drag and drive racers getting out there with their cars, attending other events. We're seeing more of these true street style events. And when they're in your neighborhood, obviously, if you have a drag and drive car, they're
Mhm.
going to fit those classes perfectly. So you can go jump in there and, maybe earn yourself a little extra income for the next drag and drive.
Yeah, definitely. And it's awesome to see, I don't know, are true street racers coming to drag and drive, or are we seeing drag and drive racers go to true street?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. All right, Derek saying here, drag and drive competitors making news in a bunch of places. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And want to shout out to those guys because they wrote an article and that's where I found some of this information. So
That's awesome.
thanks to those guys. All right. So next up, we're going to thank another one of our sponsors. We've got Molly Motorsports. So attention, high performance enthusiasts and sportsman class racers, meet the Molly Motorsports Power Pack Kit, your ultimate solution for power packed performance. The Power Pack pistons are made from either 4032 aluminum alloy to allow for tighter cylinder to wall clearances and improved temperature stability, or 2618 alloy to allow for increased detonation resistance. Tailored for various engine families from small block Chevy to Volkswagen and Audi, we've got you covered. What sets them apart? It's forged pistons graphol coating and phosphate treatment for peak performance and durability. Elevate your ride with Molly Motorsports, where performance meets precision. Unleash the power within. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. Again, Molly is spelled Mahle.
That's awesome, man. I love the team at Molly. Eric Gurlio is a super cool dude, and I can't wait to hang out. I'm waiting on confirmation if Adam is coming. I hope Adam comes because he's the one that's been on Rocky Mountain Race Week with him so many times to run the Molly booths. So it would be great to have him on site at the circuit. And
Yep.
then I want to say thank you to them for allowing us to do the giveaway of their racer spot last week to Jim McQuarrie, or really it was just a wait lister, but then Jim won it, obviously.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about some craziness within the automotive stuff while we kind of wind down here and get ready for Ryan. What is up with MotorTrend, dude? I haven't seen just a ton about this. I know the other day somebody posted that a lot of this stuff was going, like MotorTrend Plus or MotorTrend TV or whatever it's called, was going away, and a lot of that stuff is moving to Discovery Plus. So obviously, you sent me this picture from Cooper making a post saying, "What's the future like?" No more independent streaming, paywall failed. Unfortunately, they have done layoffs already, which you saw. You were telling me before this. Who was the girl that made the
Uh,
post?
that 1320 chick. She drives a teal Mustang.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
she was laid off from there. So it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, obviously, Motor Trend's a big deal, right? And so, I mean, I never signed up for the app. Maybe I should have. I don't know. Maybe more people should have. I don't know. But they merged with Warner Brothers, and now they'll be on Max and Discovery Plus. And then he essentially says, "Will they be done making new content? Will the magazine close? Is this Kevin Hart's fault? And then will Drag Week still go on?" So a lot of great questions there posed by Coop,
yeah.
and it's interesting because there's like 185 comments on this post, right?
There was a ton.
Tons and tons. So obviously a lot of people are mad. I'm actually pulling it up now on another screen here to kind of read through some of them. And essentially I think he's a little mad at Kevin Hart and the show, the Muscle Car Crew, because apparently they spent a ton of money to put that show on,
Yeah.
and it really kind of didn't do as well, which is sad.
Yeah,
So
I
there's a
haven't
lot of
seen that.
comments about that. Yeah, I haven't watched any of the show at all either. So I'm running down through here trying to see Matt Rice. It's definitely Kevin Hart's fault.
Yep. There was a ton of that. There was actually a comment I remember reading that said this might be the first thing that the entire automotive community agrees on. It's Kevin Hart's fault.
Yep. Yeah. Mike Galemi here says Drag Week is game on, and the first issue of the quarterly uh, release of the magazine now for Hot Rod Magazine is being boxed up and shipped.
Okay.
So Hot Rod's good for right now. Drag Week is good. Obviously, I mean, they're going to do the event for 2024 for sure. And let's see, I'm trying to see. Yeah, people say they still have it. I haven't watched it in a while. Oh man, when Tony Angelo left Hot Rod Garage, I stopped watching. Engine Masters ran out of good tests, and Roadkill was better on YouTube. Dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like a lot of people were a little upset about this. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what happened.
It sounded like if you had the app, I think they said it was like $6 or something,
Mhm.
that you're automatically going to get bumped into one of these other packages
Hmm.
for Discovery Plus or whatever.
Interesting.
So, yep, it was kind of crazy. I sent you these posts back to back again. That 1320 chick had posted, I think she said she was with MotorTrend for like 8 years and
Wow.
she was let go. And then scrolled down a couple more and I seen Cooper's post. So then I obviously had to go and kind of see what was going on. And that's when I sent these to you.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty intense. So a lot of stuff going on in the automotive world there with that. That's a big driver. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. Discovery Plus just went through all of that with no Prep Kings.
Yep.
I think that's maybe partially why Jeff Lutz was on sick week, was because he didn't really have anything going on right then. I know he's been wanting to come back to Drag and Drive for a long time, and that presented an opportunity because, from what I understand of Cooper's most recent podcast with Fred White and Scott Whitty, those guys, as of right before sick week or right after sick week, still did not have a contract with Discovery Plus or
Oh
Discovery.
wow.
And they were obviously getting ready for the season. 20, they've been talking about like 22 events scheduled and things like that. And those guys still didn't have their contract set up with them. So I think all of that has been handled now. I think those racers that are involved in No Prep Kings and the TV show are going to be taken care of. I think there's definitely a reason they built those cars, and they're going to get to race them this year. Now, what that means for the future, I don't know. Cooper went into a little bit of that on the podcast and was talking about, does this mean No Prep Kings, if it doesn't get picked up by a channel or a streaming service, will it then go, it'll still be an event, it's too big not to, but will it lose some of the stuff and be a standalone event only?
Yeah.
Mm,
Those
yeah,
are all good
Trevor
good
Brandon.
questions.
Yeah, Trevor Brandon here saying the industry trying to kill the car culture, and unfortunately, that's kind of what I thought initially when I started hearing about all the Discovery stuff, was that they were trying to limit some of the car things that were out there, and this was some big grand conspiracy theory, which I really hope it is not. I really hope it's not some kind of conspiracy theory to push the car culture down, because again, as somebody said on another podcast today, there's no performance automotive is such a small niche within the worldwide problem of, global warming and stuff, that
Yeah.
it makes no sense we get shit on so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But you know where you can watch plenty of automotive content? You can
where's
watch
that?
that over at PowerTube TV.
I know that's right. WatchPowerTubeTV.com/watch. Scroll down. You can see all the channels they have right there. And you can find them on YouTube as well. 30,000 plus subscribers. One last thing I want to talk about with this, and then we're going to bring on our buddy Ryan at PerformaBuilt, is I don't know if you've seen this stuff, but Nick Leonard was on the show last week. We talked about some of the side by side blog stuff. We talked about the new channel and what they're doing. Man, the last couple of days have been hard for him. There's been a lot of stuff back and forth about that. I want to send our best wishes to Nick, and just I sent him a text yesterday saying, "Man, we're thinking about you." And if there's not that I would ever be some dude he'd want to vent to, but if he wants to drink beers and cuss about stuff, I'd gladly listen. So you guys just keep, this stuff out here is hard, especially at the level that he was at. Several
Yeah.
100,000 subscribers, a full business. They had there. So very very difficult situation for all of those involved, not just Nick and eventually Frankie came back on board with Nick and all that stuff. So not just that, but the guys on the other side of the table too. It's very very hard, and the process is nothing is easy in this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
we've a little bit of that and know kind of how hard things get to become. So, all right, I want to say thank you for watching so far, guys. We can't do it without you. I don't know if you know this or not, but our race car friends are some of the best friends we have. Did you know that?
Absolutely.
I mean, dude, I joke with my wife all the time. This is a short story. I drive a lot, 17,000 miles last year, just to drag and drive events, just to drag and drive 17,800 miles or something like that. She always asked, "What are you going to do if you break down somewhere?" I'm like, I'm within 2 hours of anybody that somebody will come pick me up. I know
Right.
somebody within 2 hours of where I break down, because that's gonna happen eventually. So, I wanna
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
thanks for being our race car friends here. We are planning some fun stuff for the race car friends that are following along. We're planning some fun things coming in the next few weeks. It just takes time to get all that stuff together and figure out times when we can do that. Isn't that right?
Yep. Yep. I've been throwing all kinds of ideas at you lately.
Yeah.
I've been sending you a lot of stuff the last couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy here on this side, and your side has been awesome. Um, this is a really good partnership going on we have here. It really works well, and there's a lot of really cool things. Should we show them? Should you give them kind of a tease of the most recent thing you've developed, or
We
should we
could.
wait?
We
Man,
could.
I think we should. We've got a few minutes. Let's do that. Let's show them something that you're working on that we're gonna actually you'll be able to purchase on site at the circuit. We weren't gonna talk about this, but dude, I can't hold it back anymore. It's so freaking cool, man.
Yep. Yep. So we're just starting these, so obviously We're aiming to have them all at the circuit by the time we get there. But the first one, so
Yes.
drag and
Keychains,
drive.
baby.
Yep, drag, drive, repeat keychains. They're 3D printed. They're, not too thick. They've got some flex in them. They're not going to break. So super cool. I don't know if kind of hard to see, but it's got a little
Yeah.
texture to it.
Yep. We're going to get some really good pictures of those and put those up. So,
Yep. So that's one item.
yep.
We got coasters, 3D printed coasters.
Yeah. Great way to support the brand inexpensively, but also keep that on your desk at work so your cup doesn't put rings on it.
Yeah, I mean, I use them all the time at work. And the last one, you see the size of that?
It's huge, man.
This
That
is
is huge.
Yeah, this would be awesome for hanging in your shop, hanging
Yep.
in your office, like where we're at. You can't really see them, but there's two small holes up here, so you can throw a thumbtack through it and then
Yep.
slap it up on the wall. You could throw a magnet on the back of it, and stick it
Mhm.
on a toolbox. Again, lots of options, all 3D printed stuff,
Yep.
super nice. It's got Again, you can't really see it on camera, but there's a nice texture finish to it. So,
Yep. Well, I'm really excited about you working on that. And on my side, we're working on a bunch of different decals because, guys, the biggest thing is like, how do we get this stuff in our hands and not just blow all of the money buying a bunch of inventory? So we're doing all that. A lot of this stuff is going to be at the well, all of this stuff is going to be at the circuit to get us through that, get us started, get us a foundation, and then obviously going to be rolling out onto the website. So it's really exciting to see the things that are coming. And guess we can't do that without you. So we want to say thank you so much for all the support you give us. And that leads us into the next little spot here, the gentleman's agreement. Because obviously we would love you to purchase merchandise, but there's no merchandise to purchase right now. So the gentleman's agreement is that we love what we do and we love providing that to you guys, but it does cost a lot of time and a lot of money to do this and get to these things. So what we ask in return is that you hit that follow button or hit that subscribe button wherever you're watching this. Make sure you're following us there. Please, please do that. That is the gentleman's agreement. We can't obviously verify that you're going to do that, but we need you to do that. It helps us again bring you more content. The more
yep,
content we bring, the more drag and drive goes mainstream. That's the whole thing. It's been what I wanted to do from the beginning. And we've literally nonstop talked about drag and drive for more than 2 years now. Started
that's
this the
right.
end of January 2022, and here we are, and hundreds of episodes, more than 1,000 videos on YouTube, dude.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Oh,
so share the show, share the news with your race car friends, share the group page, the drag drive repeat hashtag race car friends. Invite your friends to that group. I had a comment up here earlier. I don't know if I can find it again. Yeah, right here. I thought this was an awesome comment. I want to say thanks to Larry here. Love the show and all the info. I'm learning something new each time I tune in. Thanks for the content. These this is exactly what our goal is to help people, give people info, have a place where they can talk to other racers. So again, if you've got friends that are in the drag and drive community or even want to get into it, invite them to those groups and share our content with them.
yep. And again, it gets people out and driving their cars, which is the entire purpose of building a car,
Yes,
right? Race cars eat up a lot of money. You might as well put them on the street and drive them around some.
that is
We're one of the
exactly.
only hobbies that the more money you pay, the less you enjoy it.
You're not wrong.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, let's bring on Mr. Ryan from PerformaBuilt Transmissions. Guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but PerformaBuilt is the official transmission builder of Drag Drive Repeat, and we're hoping that you're going to use them. They're going to be your first call when you have questions or you have a need for one of the baddest transmissions on the planet. So let's bring him on right now. Mr. Ryan, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Been here all night.
We were talking before the show. Ryan has been backstage this whole time, so I want to say thanks to him for hanging out. And he was like, "I thought we were on earlier," and man, I want to apologize. So again, we slid into this show getting ready for everything. Well, let's start off. You got to introduce yourself because it's one of your first times to be on the show on Wednesday nights. So introduce yourself. Tell them obviously the shop story again, just real quick, and then where you guys are located.
All right. Well, I'm Ryan Snyder, and this is PerformaBuilt Transmissions, or at least a small part of it. We build some of the baddest 4-speed overdrives, even Turbo 400 and stuff like that. We have our own shift kits, our own design, and we take a lot of pride in our work. And I think our reputation that you guys might read about reflects that.
Yeah, it definitely does. And cars like Howie Price in the wagon. I know we talk about Howie all the time, but I love that car. 5,000 pounds, huge, does wheelies, 400 horsepower worth of nitrous that goes through that car. And Howie sent me a picture the other day. They may be putting twin turbos on it, which
Yep.
that car runs a 4L60. So it's going to be fun to see how all that works and how you manipulate that and go from a nitrous setup to a turbo setup and how that'll change all the stall converter and all that.
Yeah, this will be a good time. And as Howie goes along in the process, he's been reaching out to me and hasn't had too many questions. He's got this thing pretty handled.
That's awesome. Well, let's walk through. Obviously, you guys are in the Northeast, so we talked about the event that's going to be in New York earlier. So you may be adding that one to your schedule a little bit, get you out on some more drag and drive stuff. Because I heard last time you were on, you're talking about maybe coming to Six Summer, right?
Yeah, in June. That will be my first drag and drive. It'll be my first time meeting Howie in person. We've known each other since 2016. We've been talking
Nice.
that long.
That's
just like good friends. And then, hopefully I get to meet Keith. I get to meet Nick. You guys, if you're going to, you better go, Michael. I told you that last time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
Oh yeah, Eric will be for sure. And I'm trying to figure out if I can do the whole week or if I'm only going to do the last few days or if I'm going to do the first few days. But I think if I do anything, it'll be the last few days. So maybe I come up on Wednesday and catch in and then go from there.
That'll work. This will be cool. I've never done it, and I like that whole that old town that you guys showed, like the blast from the past. I want to see that personally.
Yeah, bring it on. It's going to be really fun. Well, dude, who are some of the guys you work with around there?
So one guy that actually I can't do this without because I am not computer savvy. He's right here. This is Evan. This is the guy that machines like 99% of everything around here.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a big deal.
He's a big deal. Yeah. So Evan, tell us a little bit about what does that mean when you say you machine 99% of the stuff? What are you guys machining? What are you cutting up?
Well, we kind of live off of a rule here that nothing's flat. And that's kind of like our big thing of just really taking the time and inspecting everything that goes into the transmission. So I make sure everything is flat in the shop and it seals nice and tight to make sure all the pressure is there when you need it.
So like the transmission pan that I had on a 700 R4 that leaked no matter what we did, if new pans, new gaskets, everything leaked. Is that what you were saying?
I think that's just GM's failure of quality control, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, this is more like, so let's say the pump, for example, everybody knows about that. There's no gasket. It's very, very important. So a big part of this is GM. I don't care if you bought a new pump from the factory. It's not flat. And one of the key points is sealing this thing up, preventing, transmissions leak everywhere. If we could just encase one in plexiglass, it'd be a pink mist.
So this is a big thing I always see a lot of guys do, but you could even see in here, the center is machined flat, but the outer edge is still dull. There's nothing forcing this together whatsoever. So it's actually leaking out of everywhere you need it to be and just blowing pressure away. There's no pressure when you need it. There's no charge pressure when you need it to make the shift or anything. It's
noisy.
Like that. It's super noisy and it sounds violent. You don't really want that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Those are things that this is why I love having you guys be a part of this whole program.
Y'all wanted to get technical. We're doing
I know,
it right
dude.
now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so I'll tell a funny story. I had the 4L80 in my old truck. It would not shift right. Would not at all. Right. I bought it used from a guy. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, man. I was in a running truck. You've heard that before. Yeah, it came out of a running truck.
Yeah. Ran good when pulled.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah, 3/4 ton truck, blah blah blah. Well, they had taken the front pump and the gasket that goes from I guess the front pump to the case itself. They had
Okay.
put that gasket inside the front pump.
Oof,
So
no
yeah,
bueno.
yeah. So it would pull, but it wouldn't. It would not do anything like it was supposed to.
Yeah.
But I could drive it up and down my street, and so of course I take it to the reputable transmission builder that's here close. And I'm like, I can't figure it out. He does a complete rebuild on it, spend all this money doing it. Turns out it was just that front pump was probably bad. So we did
And
find
a
clutches.
and a $1 gasket,
Yeah, it's exactly right.
That's
So
it.
again, that's why I think those stories happen a lot. I think in the transmission world.
They do. Part of my job with tech support every day is sometimes guys that do know shit like I do, we blow past it because we just don't realize it's so common. And we're
Yeah.
really going for the stuff that matters when it's really something so simple.
Yeah, because in that situation, I'm like, it just doesn't drive right. It's like it's slipping, and he's like, man, I don't know. And the problem is for a lot of folks, there's nothing that you can just check in a transmission. You literally have to pull it apart to check anything. So
And the average guy does not have like HP tuners and stuff, and it is $500-600 I think right now.
Yep.
For the basic program. One thing everyone can do, let's throw a tip out, is go to Harbor Freight and get a pressure gauge that's like 1/4 inch MPT. That will help you diagnose a lot of stuff, for sure. And you can just hang it through the door while you're driving, whatever. But if it just stays at 60 pounds or something, yeah, you're slipping, you're messing stuff up,
Okay, that's a good call. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great tip.
We do a lot of diagnostics that are easy. One is like unplugging the transmission, verifying you're in limp mode or not. You ain't gonna hurt nothing, but you unplug it. You're having shifting issues. It won't shift a second. You unplug it. It defaults to second and third. Okay, I know it's not the transmission. It's doing its job. Let's go to the vehicle. Very simple things we can do.
Interesting.
Even on the road, quick as reaching up in there and just doing a quick diagnose.
Yeah, that could work a lot because there's a lot of guys. Again, I say it all the time, voodoo magic, man. That's what I even put in the entry. This is a voodoo magic that you do, and it really is that because nobody knows what really goes on in there. But that's a great tip.
I guess the best thing I could tell people is unless you have a like stock unit or a really shitty build, 99% of the time, the transmission problems most people I think experience are either servicing or something that is not telling the transmission what to do.
Lead into that. What's that mean?
So let's say you have a misfire, okay, at a specific RPM, let's say 3,000. At that 3,000 RPM during your, 2-3 shift, you might experience a bucking in and out or a quick shift or hanging on the rev limiter when you have your tune right. And It's all related to the MAF and everything else not registering because of that faulty firing order.
That makes sense.
And once it's corrected, no problem.
Right. But a lot of times guys get mad, tear the transmission out because it's not right, send it in for a rebuild, put it back in. That cost me
and
$4,000.
A horrible fact is, as humans, I just kind of break a lot of shit down into like common stuff. We're afraid of stuff that we don't understand, and then we get mad at it. And the more we understand, like the tranny is stupid. All the solenoids are on or off, and it's a steel ball slamming back and forth. The computer and your stuff in your bay is telling it what to do, and we don't want to know that.
The transmission doesn't shift right. It's got to be the transmission.
It's always the transmission
It's always
fault.
the transmission fault.
I am the most hated person on the planet.
So you mentioned servicing the transmission. How often do you recommend that drag and drive racers do service their trans, and what all does that entail?
I think it depends on the amount of activity you're actually doing with your vehicle. So a guy on a drag and drive or multiple drives like Keith or Howie, those guys, I've told them, like, you have a race unit now. It's packed pretty tight. You don't want to break down, so change it once a year so you don't forget. And you are always good to go for every season. And it's very cheap.
And when we send these things out the door, it comes with the instruction packet, and we have a 500-mile break-in the second it comes off the dyno and shipped to you and put in your car.
Yeah, so think of a new transmission like a new motor. Everybody's familiar with that and the break-in. Well, when you get a new tranny, especially a performance one, you have new bushings, you have new clutches, you have fresh steel, and it's going to shed stuff just like a motor does. And, you know, we always go to GM's 100,000-mile BS thing, and that never works.
Yeah. What's wild is you spend a lot of time working with 4L60s. I think that's probably, you know, the drama around your controversy, not drama, but controversy around some of your stuff is you get them to live, right? And a lot of that comes from service. Like once you have it built and, you know, Evan makes sure everything is flat and good, now fluid is working around like it should. I mean, changing your trans fluid every year isn't that big of a deal, especially on
it
a fun hot rod, you know?
Yeah, and it isn't. And even if you don't have a drain plug, I tell guys, crack the back of the pan, drink a beer, wait for it, and then continue on. You know, get a big tray if you're going to make a mess.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to make a big mess, man. Why? That's one other question. Why do transmission pans not come with the drain plug? Is because they don't want you to do that?
Well, that's just an engineering fault.
Yeah.
GM yet again.
And honestly, GM taking a page out of my book where they had the power to take it away. People were not changing the filter, and even the techs weren't. So they just took the drain plug away. They said, no, you have to take this off now to get to that forcefully.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I've made more messes changing transmission fluid than anything ever.
Right
Coming
on
from
time,
a transmission guy, I hate it. It sucks.
Yeah. So
right on time. Look who's here.
Yeah, that's right. Sheila's dream. That's the whole Price family team. That's awesome. Well,
did you boost it, Howie?
Yeah, did you boost the washing machine?
You know he did. It's got 300.
Is it on nitrous now?
Spray on nitrous now. Yeah, just wait. That thing will go into orbit here shortly. Let's talk about transmission filters because obviously they're important. But I mean, is there like a brand that you recommend? Is there, you know, are we okay with the factory one? Do you recommend putting more quartz in the transmission? What's kind of walk us through some of that stuff? We'll stay on maintenance for a minute.
Yeah, a little bit. So I strongly believe in OEM filters. I like the fiber felt. I do not like high flow filters with the wire screen because mostly, and I have had customers with other units bring the shit in and I'm like, yeah, that's your problem is the filter. Now what's happening is even though your transmission is a sealed unit, it still has debris, you know, that sheds over time. That wire screen is not going to catch that stuff. And when you're dealing with a 4L80 or a 400 with a gear driven pump, it does not like that. And it's letting that fine material pass right through and it's just sandpaper. The tolerances are too tight.
So all that sealed up machine work we do gets ripped apart by all the particles that get shoved through it.
The guys with 400s, 4L80s, my best advice, regardless of what anybody tells you about performance, that thing's going to suck. Okay. It's not going to suck the felt out of it ever. And it's not going to limit your flow. But do not let that shit get in your gear driven pump. And let's see, the 60 pump and the 6L80, some guys might be running that a little bit different of a pump. It's a vane type. They can take a lot more abuse, even though everybody breaks them on install. Same deal. 6L80 has the same rotor as the 4L. Okay, this little piece.
Okay.
And it can withstand a lot more, but it still doesn't like material. But fortunately, they don't make a high flow filter for the 60. So we're saved.
Right. So what are some of the tricks that you do to help a 60 live behind some higher horsepower stuff? I mean, I see the level 2 stuff, you know, that's probably, I would think one of your best packages, level 2, 700 horsepower at 4,000 pounds. How do you make a 4L60 live at that?
So this is going to be a long one, so brace yourselves. Not to get too deep because some things are secret, but back to the intro, I was like hydraulics, this and that. So the key is finding the balance and knowing your customer's car. And when I really do say every transmission is different, I mean it. because some guys may weigh 6,000 pounds and have 400 horsepower. Some guys, you know, like Howie, some guys may weigh 3,200 and have 1,000. So, you know, depending on their tires and everything else going on, you compensate, you know, your valve timing, all the shifts. That's just basic complicated knowledge. But mostly when you really break it down, you look at the hard parts, and we blow people's minds that we can make a stock Planet live up to 700. And the key is the metal itself is cast. The 5 pinions are powdered. They spread the load better, but the 4 pinion is a stronger metal. And since we have more forces doing the pushback, which is what the 5 pinion fixes with the extra pinion spreading that load better on the ring gear, we compensate with a little more valve timing, a little less shift. You know, no trans go real hard that everybody sets it at, like the max setting, and that's what blows stuff up. Trans goes a great kit, but everybody goes extreme, and that's the problem. We don't go extreme. We also, our shift kit is made by us. It is very tunable, and a lot of the old timers are going to disagree with me, and they're partially right. Different hole sizes mattered back then when things were cable controlled, no computer. Now it's a lot different. So you have to adjust your shift kit for the tunability of the computer, make it easier on the tuner. And big power guys, we're putting a lot more power through these motors now. You can't have that stuff shifting that aggressive. And that's the biggest secret. Be gentle with it, and it will take care of you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you have stuff surviving all over. I know we talk about Howie a lot, but I mean, there's all kinds of cars that you guys are featuring on your social media all the time that run very fast and drive a lot of miles and live.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And part of that is the guys we sell to, I make sure that they know what they're doing. We give the full experience. Howie and the guys, they are great at taking care of their stuff. They keep it cool at like 140, perfect temp.
Nice.
You know, the rest
and Richard Nelson is one hell of a tuner too at Halitech. And if I'm correct, the text message said that Richard Nelson tuned 2 quarts low fluid out of the transmission, and they still made it pass. And then
awesome.
The trans still has not landed here. It has not been back for a refresh or nothing.
5 years.
And it's been out there for a long,
4 or
time.
5.
Yeah, those guys, and they're not nice to it at all. I mean, again, they're 5,000 pounds, pulls 2,500 pounds worth of stuff, and on drag and drive events, and has 4 adult men riding around in it. So, pretty awesome.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, yep, that's awesome. For the folks listening on the podcast, says, "I've been beating the shit out of these units for years. Listening to Ryan goes a long way."
And that's exactly all I want. I want to sleep good at night, and I usually do, and that means no bad blood, and my customers have good experiences.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, one of the best ways to listen to you is the YouTube channel. So talk us through the last, I don't know, probably year and a half of YouTube growth, and how much you've grown just being on camera a lot.
The first couple of years, we were introducing ourselves and doing some performance stuff, showing what we're capable of. And then, you know, as the years went on, I realized a lot of people were having trouble with just like mostly tuning, honestly. So we just decided to do a diagnostic, like everything you'd ever want to know about a basic 4-speed. And I've done some 4L80 stuff in that. I'm aiming to do more 4L80 and 400, but we've covered the 60 entirely with everything a customer would want to know in layman's terms to help them either fix, make it a little bit better if they're on a budget, or even just, you know, build a slight performance one to the best of their ability. It's my way of giving back. You know, some guys just don't want me or can't afford me, but everybody should have fun with what we're doing with cars. That's the enthusiasm.
Right. I'm bringing up the channel because it looks like since the last time you were on, you guys crossed 10,000 subscribers. So congratulations.
Yeah. We did. We did. That was pretty incredible feeling, actually.
Yeah, it was cool to come in the morning too.
Yeah,
see that finally.
Overnight.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then this has been one of the I guess probably video series that have got you a lot of folks is the perfect OEM 4L60. I mean, dude, 48,000 views a month ago. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of mind blown by that because we just watch it climb every single day consistently, and it's something
Yeah.
we just didn't expect to see that.
And it's
No,
a great series. I've made it through a couple of the videos, and again, have no reason to be watching this. I don't own a 4L60, have no intention to build one or anything like that. But like, just the way you explain things, it works really well. So if anybody's out there, jump over, subscribe to the channel here. Make sure that you're watching all the stuff that comes out from these guys. Yeah, pretty awesome. We talked about the painless converter spacing the other day when you were on the show or on the news on Saturday morning. That was a great episode and a 5-minute video. Dude, good stuff you got here, man. Really good stuff.
I try to shove as much information as I can, but I don't want anybody to get overwhelmed. So we do try to keep it, as quick as possible. But sometimes I just need to explain a little more,
Yeah. Yep. I think I've made it through part 2 of the front pump. I think that's where I was at. And again, I'm like, why am I even watching this? But dude, it's great stuff, man. It's really good. And you really
the whole goal was to kind of bring people in and kind of just, regardless of what you want to do, you have to learn something new. We're sitting on YouTube, stuff like that. That's how I remember YouTube used to be, and why not make it a little fun while you're doing it too? So
yeah, I'm 34, he's 23. We grew up when YouTube was starting.
And Grayson's the guy behind the computer editing all those up and listening to Ryan's voice for hours on end all day long, making sure it's right.
Poor guy.
So how many people do you have at your shop?
We have 6, including myself.
Okay.
And that's it. And I don't plan on hiring anymore.
Now, some floor sweepers, if somebody wanted to get in and help, that you'd probably welcome a young kid wanting to learn this art of transmission building and let them sweep the floors to get some stuff, I'm sure. But who are some of the other folks? We got Evan. You said Grayson?
We got Grayson. He's our media guy. He helps out with he does the packing, shipping, and little things like that.
Cool.
He has a big job just with the internet and everything itself.
Yeah.
We got Travis, my oldest. He is probably he's better builder than I am, honestly. That dude files every corner of your valve body.
There's no burrs, there's no sharp edges. That thing is probably the cleanest case you'll ever see.
I didn't teach him to do that. That's how much pride he takes in this.
Yep.
Wow. That's
every
cool.
bit of quality control really springs off of him and how particular he is about.
And he just got a Corvette. He got a C5.
He just got a Corvette, so
nice.
He gets to take it with that soon.
But yeah, so we got Travis. He's probably the main builder. We got 2 young kids. I do some stuff with the Votech school up the road.
Mm-hmm.
So we do some internships. We do pay them for it with their co-op. Got 2 kids. They're pretty damn good. One is an upcoming builder. He's been doing it for a while. Very promising. The other kid is his brother. He's great. He's just starting out, and he is getting his feet wet with a wrench. So we got a real solid team right now.
Nice. That's really cool. So how long have you been at PerformaBuilt, Brian?
I've been here almost 9 years.
Wow. You've seen some transmissions come and go in that place.
It used to be 2 guys, me and another person. And I've probably built roughly 12 to 1,500 transmissions in my career.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. So, I mean, think about that. For folks at home, let's just break that down. That's 3 a week every week for 9 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
And if it weren't for these other guys, we are averaging roughly like 10 to 15 a week. And we are very efficient. We know exactly what we're doing. And we do this dance in a donut, and it just works.
Yep. That's really cool. Well, let's talk about the truck that's behind you. I'm going to pull up a picture here. What's is this the shop truck? What's this thing called?
This is a shop truck. We don't have an official name for it, but we are thinking about it. But everybody loves this thing. It was a shit box, like in a field. And that is the before picture. I built this with the 454 with a manual rack and the drum brakes. No one knows how I fit it in there. I'll just tell you, it's a lot of beer and eyeballing. But I built that 5 years ago with an angle grinder and a welder. And then this kid used to be a TIG welder. So he comes along, talks me into suspension. So we tear all that stuff off. And then he welds me up an entire new chassis, and now he hates his life.
But the whole goal the whole time was to keep the factory frame rails on both sides of the truck. Everybody S10 swaps these trucks, and I hate it.
Yep.
I can't stand it. Take the pride and take the time to keep it original. If you really want it that bad, you're gonna make it. And we spent thousands of hours doing it.
What's the front suspension setup there? I see arms and stuff.
It's a Mustang 2
way better.
conversion front and stuff like that with power steering rack, just independent shocks on each side.
We use QA1 for the shocks. They're very good. QA1 springs. They're 700s up front because big block's heavy.
Yeah. And then you got the Motion Racework steering column tucking nice and smooth right through here there in the header.
Yeah.
I don't think you could fit a bigger motor in it. I really don't.
No, that's enough of that.
You probably couldn't fit bigger tube exhaust either, man. It's got to be tight in that thing.
Yeah, it looked bigger before the motor got put in. You know what I mean? And then it was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
There's thousands of hours of time.
We have this big block paired with a level 3 that a customer wrecked his car a long time ago, and we didn't want to resell it. I was like, shit, I'll take it. So way overkill. This thing's only got like 200 horsepower. It's a stock 454 from the 80s.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it's got a diagonal 4-link in the rear now with a forward 9-inch, and that was a whole hassle because this is an original 1-ton frame. So I'm a little import guy, so I don't really mess with a whole lot of the domestic stuff. But learning that the frame was 10 inches shorter and having the completely fabricated rear end from scratch was quite the project to take on at 9 o'clock at night when we learned that.
So we bought a half-ton kitten short and cut it in half immediately.
Yeah, just tore it all apart.
Yes. Yeah, that's no fun.
No, it was horrible.
No, it was a lot of long days. But that comes with the part of racing that everybody thinks that is usually glorious, but it's really not. It's thousands of hours that go into it to make it worth it.
Yeah. So what's the plan for that truck?
This is our street truck. We pick up customer transmissions with it from Fastenal. When we were at a different shop, it moved everything that is in here, which is a lot of shit.
Yeah. You can't see that. There's a lot of it. And
we just use it. That's what it's for.
Drive it to car shows locally and stuff like that, and I want to take it to some races just to drive it there and just show it off a little bit and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I see that the guys we bring that comment back up, Eric.
Yeah.
That Ryan cut his teeth on my C5 Black Edition. The first C5 Black Edition is still holding up.
That's true. He was the first one that we ever did, the first 1,000 horsepower Corvette. And Howie is the reason all the units are signed now. He wanted us to autograph it, and it kind of just caught on. So that's what we do.
That's pretty awesome. Well, what are some other things that you go over kind of on your channel that you'd want people to understand at home, or you just want to talk about tonight?
We went over servicing. Like, there's some little stuff you guys can just handle. You know what I mean? But the converter spacing, great topic. That is a must know for anybody. And I'm surprised. I heard a lot of things like I just didn't know that. And I'm like, wow, let's go over this. We can talk a little stall speed if you guys want. Not too deep, but the general overview.
Let's do that.
And if you guys want to talk about any, more transmission, like how does it hold or what do I do? We can do that too. I'm very open, guys. Comment if you want to see something, I'll answer it.
Yeah. Let's talk about stall speed and how to do that.
So the best way, other than this long algebraic equation, which really isn't that bad, you can find that on my YouTube. I do go through the math. It is a little too long probably for this hour. But there is an equation. Now, there are other ways to do it that are very similar to that and less complicated. So let's say you guys got a blueprint engine, right? And those usually come with a dynograph. And what you're going to look at is where your peak torque, your power band starts. What RPM? Okay, so our peak power band on this 454, bullshit numbers, starts at 2,500 RPM. The general rule is you add 500 RPM to where that starts, and that is your baseline stall. So 99% of the time, a 2,800 to 3,000 stall for that power band is going to be perfect. And that's always based on a 26-inch tire and a 373 rear. That's what all math is based on. That makes stall run true.
Gotcha. Okay. So if I'm not running that, like I'm running a 411 in the old truck and a 28-inch tire, like how do you, I guess you're probably just plugging those parameters into your long equation, right?
Yeah, so the 411 going to make the stall flash a little differently, and the rollout of your tire is going to make it flash a little differently as well. And that's where we get into the topic of advertised stall versus actual flash stall. And actual flash stall is what we're always trying to figure out, not fuck advertising. You know?
Yeah, right.
That's out of the catalog.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand it. And so like if you're seeing, oh man, again, the hard part is like everyone you ask has such a different answer. Like the converter in my old truck is a triple disc, really nice piece. It's like it's as much as what the whole transmission cost me initially to buy, right?
They're expensive.
Yeah. And the reason I wanted that, and I told the company that I bought it from, I was like, listen, I want this thing to drive like a stock setup when I'm just cruising around. I can flip the keys to my wife and she can drive it and stay out of boost and it'd be fine. But then when I want to drive it more spiritedly or I'm at the track, it will handle a lot better and do that a lot better. And dude, it's great. It really is. She's driven it several times.
So you maybe even without knowing it, you've made a compromise, and that is what a lot of guys, especially in drag and drive, probably should start thinking about. When we go off of our cam, which usually says I need a 4,000 stall because it's huge, and I want the chop, we're doing a drag and drive, and we don't necessarily want a 4,000 stall, and we don't necessarily want to operate off that linear of a torque curve, you know, where you are still having torque at like 126 miles an hour. We want a little less regardless of what the cam says. So we're a single turbo guy in a OBS with an L53. We're probably going to go for a 2800, even if our stall says 36. We can still build boost, but we have that low end torque to ease our vehicle, and we have the best of both worlds. We're not optimized for both, but we're right there.
Yeah. Because you're going to do more driving. Like that's the whole thing, right? So we're cruising on drag and drive events. We're driving 800 miles and we're making 10 passes during that time. So that's, 2.5 miles of racing compared to 800 miles of street driving. I think there's a lot of that goes into, the difference in, let's say, putting a 3,600 stall in a truck and putting a 2,800 stall in the truck. I mean, what's the difference in ET there? Minimal, probably, right? I mean, am I crazy? The difference there wouldn't be very much.
Well, are they frozen?
I think we're frozen. I was like, is he just staring at me? Yep, I think they are frozen. I would think there's probably not much, and you would have a little bit of ET drop, maybe from the difference in parts there, but when they come back, we'll be able to tell.
Yeah, because I was gonna also mention, like, I obviously don't know anything about this, which is why I'm listening and learning. But when I built the Fox body, I got whatever converter I got. I think I got it from a coworker, and I want to say I don't remember if it was a 2400 or 2800. Took it in, had it rebuilt, and got it back, put it in the car, and then I ended up buying a 4500 stall from another buddy, and I have no clue what the right one to put in the car is. You know what I mean? So I feel like 4500 is probably pretty high for my car.
Yeah, the 4500 is probably perfect. Okay.
Okay, I don't know how this is gonna work, but we lost power at the shop because we're in the middle of a storm.
Oh,
But we got my phone set up here. I think we're all right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Where were we?
Yeah, so
Oh.
we were talking about the difference in 2800 and the 3600 RPM stall converter, and the drivability of a 2800 being better for maybe a drag and drive setup. But my question was, what is in ET range? What am I looking at? I'm making a little bit of a compromise going from 3600 to 2800, but it's going to drive way better. I mean, am I really going to see any kind of difference in ET?
No, and that's not really. That's going to depend on the type of racing too. So, like, especially if you're doing 8th mile, you're never going to notice. Quarter, you might, you might lose a little mile an hour and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
ETs, a lot of it I think depends on your 60-foot reaction time and that first little
Yeah.
bit of the track. And if you reduce your stall that little bit, you're not taking away that much.
Right.
The problem people get into is they go by their cam or they go by what Facebook said or their buddies. 4,000 must be better because it's a higher number. In reality, when you decide what you're building your car for, like a drag and drive, that's what you're going to build it for. So you have a 4,000 stall and you're driving 800 miles. That is taking so much to make that fluid a solid, and you are building so much unnecessary heat just trying to drive your car normally, whereas you're not using that torque curve all the time for the drag strip.
Right. So again, 2800 is going to give me a lot better drivability. It's going to make it drive better for when I'm cruising around and driving these 800 miles on the road. And then we're talking about a minuscule amount of time difference. So it goes back to know what your car is going to be built for. And
Yes.
that's a bit of a story Eric was telling while you guys were away getting the new setup. Is he bought well, I'll Eric go ahead and tell it again.
Yeah, so long story, my car was originally just going to be a track car. Wasn't going to do anything else. And then obviously got into drag and drive stuff, and now I want to, do that. So I have I don't remember if it's a 2400 or a 2800 in the car now. It's a 6-liter twin turbo LS Fox body, but I also have a 4500 stall converter. So I was trying to listen and learn and figure out which one's the right one for the car, but it sounds like whatever one I'm running now, the 24 or 2800 is going to be what I want to run.
Yeah. And if you guys were like, you had a dedicated drag car that never saw the street, naturally, yes, you would then want to go to that super high stall because that's what you want to be optimized for.
Yeah. So I got a 4500 stall converter probably for sale now.
Great for twin turbo and nitrous guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was telling him. I was like, man, just put the 4500 in and let's go party. It'll hate its life and you'll hate it, but dude, it'll be so much fun.
You could be rowdy and just run it, man, and take the risk. It could be fun.
Yeah.
Looks like Howie here saying, I can tell from experience that a 200 shot of nitrous on the trans brake will change the stall speed about 250 RPM. It was pretty violent launch on the street, our mistake, but it was fun.
Oh, Howie, why don't you tell him about the time you brought nitrous on before 3,000 RPM?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta call him like that.
Yeah, that'll change some things up for sure, I bet.
They blew the intake off, and Howie was still as cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Well, what's the other topic that you were going to go in? We were talked about stall speed. What was the other thing?
We could do converter spacing. We could do general transmission stuff. If you guys want to know more about, our build or what I do, what are some things everybody would like to know is my question.
Yeah, we haven't had any questions from the comment section, so bring those on for sure. I mean, your knowledge is way deeper than we're definitely giving you any kind of credit for or topics for tonight. So I would think let's talk about spacing and how important it is. Now you've got a great video on your YouTube channel about it, but kind of give us some ideas here.
Okay. The dark makes it harder, but I did have an example for you. I don't know if we can see it. Let's see here. Okay, y'all see
that? There you go.
Okay.
Oh, there. Yeah.
Y'all see that decent?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the rotor I was talking about. It sees nothing. And this is your converter. Okay. Now that's when it's fully installed. When you pull it out and do your space, that's 3/16. And there's not a whole lot connecting those little teeth to the big teeth. Okay.
Yep.
So if you bolt the converter up to the flex plate without a washer or any space, it is hanging on by 1/8 of an inch or less. And that is not going to last long because your flex plate flexes. So everything might be good when you're driving because the flex plate's pushing it in. But when you let off and you have that huge gap, it comes out and it can't, everything's still spinning and it can't land in those two teeth. You're just going to shatter this. Now, on the flip side, if you have this thing wedged back in there, it'll just beat it to death and chew the aluminum up. And that's why it's so important. Everything in your car, when you're going fast, is moving backwards, towards the rear of the vehicle. The helicut gears, your flex plate, it's very thin. That's why it's important, because there needs to be a little compensation. It's like everybody leaves 3/4 inch of their yoke hanging out so it doesn't smash. Keep stuff from smashing. That's the point.
That's how you keep things alive in transmissions, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's the number one thing.
That's awesome. What are some other things you guys see all the time?
The servicing thing and tunes. Those are probably our biggest failure points. We don't really see actual tranny failures. I mean, once in a while a part breaks. Nobody's perfect. But the tuning thing, I'm noticing there's not many good tuners out there anymore. And finding a good one is months out. Servicing, most guys don't even know that it has a filter or that it's just like your motor. And they do that 100,000 mile thing. And that's not how you would take care of your racing motor. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we have a lot of people with stock PCMs too. Like once you, even at the bottom of our instructions too, we state that after 3,000 install, it must need extensive tuning because the factory PCM isn't going to read that right off the rip. You're stuck at anywhere, 2,400 around below that. And people think that the computer's just going to automatically read that you changed an entire setup to something that's never even programmed to know about.
And it's not just a simple shift point adjustment. It's actually a separate pressure table than line pressure. And this only applies, by the way, if you're using a stock PCM. They have problems. Get rid of it if you can. Get a standalone. Garbage.
Yeah. What are you saying? Go ahead and go Holly. Okay, fine.
Yeah. And
we use a quick shift for in the truck here. It's real simple, makes it real easy for anybody to get into and stuff like that. There's nothing too extensive to it.
US Shift is a company. Great, cheap controller. Easy.
Oh, cool. US Shift. All right, I'm gonna put that in.
Quick 4. That's how I learned to tune. And HP's not too hard either. And they have great courses you can take. You doing any lockup turbo 400s?
We were just discussing this actually.
Yeah, we were just talking about this, and I don't think I've had a customer ask, but I mean, yeah, we'll do it if you want one. Not a problem.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure you guys. I hope being on here, being a part of this program, will help bring some interesting problems to what you guys typically do. Do you guys typically do more performance builds, or are you more OEM style replacement builds?
We are all performance. We don't do anything OEM, actually.
We fix the OEM.
Yeah, that's our job.
Nice. That's awesome. And you were saying on the news the other day that you're more GM based. Obviously, because I think somebody was asking about AOD or something like that. Do you guys strictly focus on GM trans?
Yeah, now we do. We decided to focus all of our energy on the unit that made us. And, the upcoming 6L, we're getting into that. It'll be a while, still working on it, but it'll be perfect when it's done. But yeah, basically, I lost my train of thought. I really did.
He's going on about GM-based stuff.
Oh, the
We got to reignite his memory
sorry,
a
the
little
dark's
bit.
distracting me. So yeah, we used to do Fords. I've done the 470, 75, AOD, AODE. Cool units, gear sets can interchange. It's pretty awesome to build. But we found more Ford guys were looking for stick shifts, which is what we don't do. And eventually, because of the 2-bolt versus 3-bolt starter, and they were so hard to get, we just discontinued it. And
Yep.
2 bolts insanely hard to get.
So I guess you helping me rebuild my trans in the cart is out. It's a 4R70, but there's one of us on this page on this screen here that has a turbo 400 that needs some help, and you guys are going to be kind of by his house at Six
Really?
Summer. So I was thinking, what if you came to Six Summer? Eric brought the turbo 400, and we rebuilt it in the bathtub at a hotel.
That wouldn't be hard. They're pretty easy. We can do that.
Yes, dude. I knew I liked you.
I'll put it this way: my basic 400 holds 1,000 horsepower.
Wow.
It's a good unit. I mean, it just takes it.
Yeah, I got a right now in the Fox body. It's a 350, and that's came out of a bracket race car. It already had a trans brake and everything on it, so I threw that in the car. But then I also got a 400 that's completely stock, and then I have a trans brake kit sitting in the garage for it, and I haven't touched it at all yet. I know nothing
man.
about the 400.
That'd be
I
a
don't
fun
know.
project.
The 400 is probably the most amazing unit to start on next to the 350.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got one that's completely stock, just sitting in the garage, and then I have a case for mock-up as well.
Yeah, always good to have mock-up stuff. What? Oh yeah. Okay. Let's get.
He's standing awkwardly. We need to get him to sit down.
Yeah, this put a big damper on it, but
Hey, I mean, you guys overcame it. That made it pretty easy. Well,
we don't make excuses around here.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's do one more topic, and then we'll probably bounce up. We've got a ton of stuff getting ready for the next couple weeks of shows. So, what's one last thing you want to talk about?
let's
That's a good one. Reverse drum?
reverse.
I mean, if you guys wanted to see something else that we do that just make sure everything's flat, I guess I guess we can kind of put a reverse drum on the list of that thing.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
I don't have.
Yeah,
the other one rolled away in the dark. Hold on.
I'll say it's gorgeously polished, is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
So okay, this one you guys can kind of see the difference. There's a line right down the middle
Yep.
of this. Okay, so from factory, the band's so thin that the pin rides the center of the drum and ends up warping it completely like a U. So we go through and I mic every inch of this drum to make sure it's straight and true. When I stick it on the lathe, that it machines nice and flat, and that's where we get this nice finish.
Wow.
To make sure that the wide band, which uses all the surface area of the drum, is utilized to every bit.
If you slap a, originally it's a 2 1/4 band as OEM. If you slap a 2 5/8 on that warp drum, you're only riding the outside. You're not using the whole band, and you're actually having less area than an OEM band,
Causing slip.
Yep.
Okay.
More area, more power.
Right, and that's on the reverse drum. So tell us what that's on. Like when I put it into R, that means like what are you saying?
Yeah. Well, so the inside clutches are R, and you'll never burn those unless you're really being like Steve McQueen or doing something wrong. That surface around it, that's actually your second and partially fourth gear. And it is entirely second. Now think about how many times you hit second when you're driving. Yeah. So that band is
constantly
clapping
together
on that thing.
And you're adding RPM, and then say you have heat in the trans too. Heat and regular steel just doesn't play together too. It's just gonna mushroom its way out.
Not only that, much like a 4L80 direct drum, everybody knows, do not neutral out a 4L80 when you're driving because the drum will shoot out and into your cab and probably hurt you. The 60 is very similar, except the drum's not going to shoot out. That drum in particular is spinning much faster than your actual RPM. And if you slow it down to frames per second, the grab is so slow and it's still spinning before it finally clamps. And that's why it's so important.
Dude, your knowledge is way ahead of what I can understand. I'm telling you. Like I have a pretty good understanding of how things work, but this is I think that again, like I said all night, this is what's going to be good about you being part of the program is we can really kind of help debunk a bunch of myths. So
Yeah, I feel like we almost need to get together and learn how to rebuild a transmission.
Bro,
yeah,
honestly, if we didn't lose power, I'm in this truck right now because I was gonna do the spacing live for
Yeah,
you
we were
guys.
planning on doing the converter spacing live, and the power turned right off.
Oh no.
nice. Nice. Yeah,
Uh,
well, the video is great. You actually one thing I thought was really smart is you literally went to the tool drawer and got, the size drill bits, or you said another good one would be like the Allen keys.
Yep.
Genius. I'm up there with a tape measure trying to figure out what is. I should have just done that. It was
I
pretty
thought
smart.
you were gonna say micrometer. I was like, get that thing out of there.
No, dude.
Yeah, we get those every now and then. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have one of those. I'm up there with a tape measure. It's that far on my finger. How far is that?
And honestly, I'm a very proud American. We still use fractions, so when just avoid decimals, man. I can't convert that.
Yeah, it's 0.16 inches.
Yeah.
I don't know what
No,
that means.
1/8.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, tell everybody where they can follow you guys, all of your social media and just, that's we'll probably end it there.
Okay, cool. So as they've talked about, just type in PerformaBuilt Transmissions on YouTube. That's where all your good content, extensive content, learn content. Facebook is where you're going to see Howie Price, Instagram, Keith Horton and the rest of the guys, and then we got Rumble and a TikTok.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. I'm glad Evan jumped on here with us, man. It was really cool. Like,
Yeah.
you grabbing the parts and obviously coming in clutch with the with the phone save
Yeah,
there.
listen. I don't let this man go
He saves
unscathed
me.
here. I'm always here to save the day. I like the stuff. I enjoy being part of it, and it's always something cool that I wanted to do growing up in
That's
the car and
awesome.
stuff like that. So this is
Well,
a great opportunity for me, and I always appreciate that.
well, I'm really excited. I know at some point, maybe not this year, maybe this year at some time, I'm going to get up there. I want to get a tour of the shop and do all that kind of stuff. But until then, I'm just going to have to hang out on your YouTube channel and watch what you guys have going on.
Hell yeah, and drop in. No appointment needed.
Hey, door's always open.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch, guys. We'll see you soon. I mean, I know Ryan and I text a couple times a week now that I have a inside track to transmission questions.
Yeah, man, stack it up, and you guys leave them in the comments, even on mine. Let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah, we sure will. Thanks a bunch, guys.
All
We'll
right.
see you soon.
appreciate it.
Peace out.
Dude, what a fun bunch of guys. Can you imagine working in the shop with them? Like how much fun that would be?
Oh, I bet it's a blast.
Oh yeah.
That's
Especially
why I
like
said we almost need like a training course. Like you and I go to their facility and then they teach us how to rebuild a trans.
yeah,
That could be
I
both
don't know if
fun
I
and
need to
comical.
I don't know if I need to know how to do that, but I definitely want to be there when they do it.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna send my stuff to PerformaBuilt. Hey, here you go. Please make this do the magic. I need this to shift into second and third gear.
right.
But yeah, that's one of the biggest things. Like, so, a lot of the stuff, if you guys are just jumping in here, a lot of the stuff he talked about was perfect. Talking about unplugging it. Hey, did it stay in limp mode? That was the biggest thing with the 4L80 that was in the old truck that I mean, I fought it for 2 or 3 months. Was nothing I did changed what it was.
Yeah,
And it was simply that front pump that had the gasket between the two metal halves of the pump from, he was showing us earlier. If I had been friends with Ryan at that point, he probably would have deduced that it was down to that. But I put new shift solenoids in it, changed the fluid, put filters. I mean, everything. And then, the struggle is you can't take it to somebody and go, hey, can you just take a look at this and see what's going on? Because they have to pull it completely apart to look at anything.
right.
So
Yeah, you hit
when
it.
they did that.
You hit it perfect earlier. Whenever anything starts to go wrong with the transmission, it's the transmission's bad. It's never like you would have never come to the conclusion that it was a gasket. Like
Yeah.
it's just the transmission's bad. Go get a new transmission.
Yep.
But
Yep.
as we start to learn these things, and we talk to Ryan and those guys, we can kind of learn and help other people and help ourselves that maybe the transmission's not bad. Maybe it's this or maybe it's that, and
Yep.
maybe one day I'll get to a point where I can actually tear it apart and do some of that investigation.
Well, dude, tearing it apart's easy. You just gotta have
Well,
a couple specialty tools. Tearing it apart's easy. It's the putting it back together. And I
that's
took a
fair.
class. I was telling Ryan this week. I had taken a class a long time ago with some friends, Philip Bursey, Brian Late. We actually went over and took a class from a transmission builder about turbo 350s, and then I've never opened one up. Not one time. I took the trans pan off the old truck. I almost changed the valve bodies, thinking that's what it was, and I was like, I just need some help with this. So,
I
so it
almost
worked out really well.
I almost tore into my T56 before I got that rebuilt. I did a lot of videos, watching videos, and I was just like, there's too many pieces inside there. I don't think I can do it. And I ended up sending it off and have it rebuilt.
Yep. A lot of scary stuff within transmissions, and that's why it's good that we have a guy like Ryan that's part of this program now and can answer those questions. So I'm excited about that. And again, next week the Driven Racing Oil team will be on. That's going to be a really fun one too, because there's a lot of stuff that typically people buy oil because somebody bought oil in their family, or somebody said this certain oil is what you need to run, or a
Yeah.
lot of times your engine builder kind of gives you some insight on that stuff, but maybe a certain weight is all they tell you what you need to buy, or they really like this brand. Things that the Driven Racing Oil team can kind of debunk with. And dude, I don't know if people haven't been on the Driven Racing Oil site yet, they need to do that. They've got 14 different categories of just oil. So
Yeah.
you can look at, like, what they recommend for a hot rod, what they recommend for like a performance oriented daily driver. I mean, like, all kinds of really, really cool stuff. We
Yep.
really are truly growing it out here. And of course, our buddy Luke B at Howard's Cams, that dude's a whole bunch of knowledge in himself. So we're going to have him on in the next couple, probably next couple months, I would say. We're beginning to pivot towards some circuit content. That'll start probably week after next. We'll start stacking in some circuit racers and sponsors and things like that to talk about that event. And I really want to go live probably from one of the route stops. I don't know which one, maybe Boots Court or Gearhead Curios. I'm trying to make it make sense for me to go up to Mocan on Sunday for the fun drags. So if I can do
Gotcha.
that, I can stop by one of the route stops. I'll do all that stuff, because man, we're days away. We're 40 something days from the circuit. Like,
Yeah.
it is happening right now. There's so much to get ready for. We've really, oh man,
Oh yeah. I'm
I'm
telling
getting
you,
anxious.
we're still talking about stuff every day, and it's gonna
Yep.
be here before we know it.
Yep. Well, let's wind this thing down, guys. Again, we want to say thank you so much. We've had great numbers all night tonight. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being our race car friends. And for the folks that are hanging out, the race car friends that are still here, there's stuff coming. I can't tell you yet, but there's some fun things that are coming that are going to help us grow. It's going to provide a lot of extra content and coverage for you guys. And I cannot wait to start releasing some of that stuff. But it's going to be just a little more, couple more weeks. Hang tight with me. I know I've been talking about it for a while, but there's a lot of fun things happening. Thank you so much to our sponsors that make a lot of this happen: to Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Change 3D, Howard's Cams, PerformaBuilt, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. Y'all, it's a big old family around here, and we love you guys.
Absolutely. We will see you guys on Saturday morning for the news show.
Yep. All right, guys. See you soon. Bye.